In this video, we're going to be taking a look at patch 5.0 for Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. This is the last major content update that Obsidian will be publishing for the game, so hopefully that means console release is not too far away. The first thing they've updated with the new 5.0 patch is the new ship UI. You'll notice that it looks a bit different when you first initiate combat. Gives you some percentages and statistics on what your chances are, which is great. But then the UI itself inside combat is a little bit different. It's a little more interactive. It explains things a little bit better. And it's just a bit easier to use and, frankly, a little bit more fun. The next thing to note is that turn-based is officially out of beta and in full live release. Obsidian has done a lot of work with bugs and balance fixes for this, and just briefly going through it today, looking over the changes that have made, it's not too drastically different than what was there in beta. That is to say, the mechanics are largely the same. If you played during the beta, you're really not going to notice too much of a difference between that and live launch. Most of the changes were with balancing, so some of the skills are a bit different. For instance, Mortification of the Soul is finally not a standard action and is now free. It also costs no mortification now, which is amazing, but mostly they're just balancing fixes to the game. One interesting thing they have changed, though, is that during the beta, the duration of abilities was calculated in seconds and then converted into rounds. I covered this in our guide, but this has since been changed now. It's calculated in rounds and then calculated versus your intellect. Makes it a bit easier to calculate for people, but one of the things I really dislike is that when you're in character creation, the amount of rounds that it shows is rounded off, so it's not actually accurate, and you can't really see how much intellect you need in order to get it to round up to the next round, because, as we noted in our guide, if you don't hit the next full whole number with your intellect calculation, you simply round down. This is something I hope they just patch with a small patch in the future, so that they can show, Disciplined Barrage as being 2.5 rounds in character creation, and something like Eldritch Aim, which is 1.7 rounds, is only showing 1 during character creation. So I hope they just patch that and add those points so people can calculate how much intellect do I need to get this to the next round. Obsidian has also added some new dialogue for a couple of the characters, Wotica and Aothis, during your conversations with them. So that's a nice little addition there for those that are, very into the story and lore enthusiasts, which, is probably a good amount of the players. The Anarchist path adjustment is simply moving around some items and doing a couple things differently so that when you get to Andra's Mortar, things are a lot more similar for those that are going that route, and that they don't get overpowered weapons too early, so these have been spread out around the game. I don't know what the exact locations of these are yet. We'll get that information as soon as we can and put it on the wiki. The last thing they've added to the game is the Ultimate Challenge. This allows basically the player to take every god challenge there is with all possible hardcore modes active at once, making the game ungodly difficult. And if you manage to complete this, if you're one of the first 50 people, then you get a special patch that has a picture of Josh Sawyer on it, which looks kind of silly, but it's also pretty cool. And if you're one of the first 12, then you're going to end up with your name and your character's name on a plaque inside Obsidian's studio. This is a nice little challenge to extend the life of the game. There's a lot of min-max players in Pillars of Eternity 2, so I'll be curious to see how many people can actually get this done and what sort of builds they're doing. Who knows, maybe I'll try and put together a build and see if I can pull it off just in my spare time. Kind of unlikely because it would need a lot of time to be dedicated to that, but maybe I'll just create something and see if I can get anywhere at all with it. So I was planning on doing an update to the turn-based mechanics after this update, but the mechanics don't seem to be that different. The guide is probably 90 to 95% accurate still, so I don't think we need to do another mechanics update or class guide. There's really only a few changes, so I'm not going to be doing that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this release on console. I think it's going to happen probably sometime in May or June. I can't wait to see the new influx of players, and possibly we might get into some more builds when we have a release date. We'll just have to wait and see.